start using Twitter, first of all get an account if you haven't already got one. I tend to use the app. You can see the app along the bottom here, it's number 5, but we'll do it through the browser. So if you go to Twitter and then sign up, and then put your name in there. There's only simple fields you have to fill out on this. I'll put a phone number. I tend to use the email, but as I've already used the email, I'll put a phone number in here because it won't let me use the same email again. So if you've got a couple of emails, you can set up a couple, and then date of birth. If we change that, they don't publish these anyway, but next, connect with people you know. I tend to not put those on so that you can actually choose who you go. Personalise ads, yeah, you can choose that. Next, and then sign up, and then you have to verify your home address or your home telephone number with a text or your email. So if we edit that, and I'll come out of this and go to home page. So if we get the Twitter app, so once you've actually got an account and you've signed in, you'd have to give a name. So we've got media and gaming. It tells you if it's obviously if it's not been used before, and then you put a title above it. You can then drop a picture in here. So if we edit the profile, you can click on the camera, you can choose a picture you want, and then choose a picture to go into the small circle, which is your profile picture. You can put a title in there, so it doesn't have to be the same as your tag, and your tag is the app. And then you've got a description, your bio, a location. You can choose where you want your location put into there. You can add your date of birth, and you can add a website if you've got a website to add there. So if we've got that. What you've then got is right at the top, if you click on the home one, the home is stories, and they come through as the most recent at the top. Now that is 11 hours ago, so if you click home again, it'll refresh it. In fact, that's 13 hours ago, but because it's Neil Emery, it thinks it's a story that because I've obviously read his stories and retweeted them, it will put his on top. So the main ones, like people that you've followed, will go on top. There's one from an hour ago, but generally going down the list, they should be older. Let's try again, see if we can refresh that. There we go, so we've got a few more. So that's an hour, that's a minute ago, that one. That's 11 seconds ago. So that's much fresher. So it takes a couple of goes because it tends to give you things that it thinks you want. You can then look for things if you've got something that you want to look for. So you can search for something. So if we put in there, if we put Twitter. So if I put Twitter and search for that, it'll give you the top stories and also the latest ones that have gone on there. People, so then you get Twitter. Photos, you can do it through photos, so photos that are on there which mention Twitter, and videos, which can be useful, but generally you just go for top or latest. Well, that's what I tend to do. The bell there is for notifications, so if you click on that, notifications, things that it thinks you're interested in, or people that have tagged you in it. So if somebody has mentioned your tag in there, it will come up in this list. You can send direct messages to people, so that's there. So you could have a new message, and then you choose who it's going to, or type in the group or the people. But if you've already used it before, it'll be in there. I don't tend to use this, but there's one on bookmarks. There's the Thought Park trip, but you can put things in bookmarks. And you can also have lists, which I don't use either, but there's lists there as well. Your own one, if you click on your own lozenge, your own picture, it brings up what you've actually tweeted, and they're all in there. And what you can do, what's useful on the tags, is that if you go to Origins Creative, you click on that tag, you'll get everything from that. So it's got right at the top in your search, you've got the hashtag Origins Creatives, and that's the top ones. They're the latest ones. You can click on there and you can scroll through there. Oh, we've got one because that was recent, so you've got a media one. Again, you can look at it in different ways, so photos or people. To get back out of here, you've got an arrow there to the left, so you can go back, or you can click on something else. So I'm going to click back and go back to the media one. If we go to what's on at the moment, if we saw something we liked, we could click on that story. You could then choose to retweet it or put a comment. Now if you just press retweet, it'll send it straight out. It's more useful to do with a comment because then it gives you time to think about it. You can set who you want to send it from. So I tend to just do East of England, so it looks general rather than from home. It could be from the college. And you don't have to put a comment. You could just choose to retweet this now and it will just send the tweet that was originally there. But if you want to add a comment, you can type in what you think about it into there. So and then retweet it. I'm not going to do that, I'm going to cancel that. So now there's two things. When I cancel it, I can save it as a draft or I can delete it. Now if you save it as a draft, it goes into your drafts, and then you can always, when you go to Twitter, you could then get your drafts up. And if you've got some drafts in there, you can retweet things. So this is a good way to save things you want to tweet, because you can have the tags and everything in there, and make sure that you've mentioned Apple, online learning, DigiTeam, have it already in there. And so I tend to do that. If you want to put a copy in here, another thing to do is just get things ready in Notes. So if you go to Notes, then you can create one that is just on Instagram, for instance. There's Twitter copy there. So I've got things about the origin, and then some links so that you can just take parts of it. What's useful is the actual hashtags. So you've got the hashtags because you can then edit those. The dots are here because if you do it on Instagram, it doesn't put the returns in, so you have to put something in there. Twitter you don't, but Twitter is limited. So if you try and put a lot into Twitter, it will didn't copy it, let's try it again. Yeah. So if I get hold of that, copy that, go back to Twitter, click in there and paste it in there. That's okay, it's going to do that, but if I do that again, just so that you can see it, you'll see that you can't send that. After that B, all the rest of that's got to be deleted because it's too long. So it'll only let you do 140 characters. The other thing it does is creates a thread. So if you want to continue a thread, like this one I tweeted last, which was the game intro, if I wanted it to continue that thread, I just click on continue. And that's a good idea if you're actually linking things together, linking stories, and you can link several stories together. So that way they're all under. So if it was under a particular client, you could put 3 of them together, 3 students. Or you can just, at the moment, it won't continue the thread if I just tweet it like this, but it won't do it. See, the tweet is light shade of blue because you can't do it until you've deleted all of that lot. So if we take that out, you could then tweet it. Now the next thing to do, now this is a bit awkward because look, it doesn't actually show you anything at the bottom here. it just shows you these names for these tags. So I find that it's not gonna actually turn sideways on this one. So if I cancel that and then go back to it, it's just to get rid of. So I've got these icons at the bottom because when it's got the hashtags in there. So if I do that, put that in there again. No, it's not doing it. Sometimes it has the hashtags in there and you can't get back to the photos. So it's a bit of a glitch on here. But that's what you need. You need that row at the bottom. It's saying there's two. You've got two more characters that you could do. And then you get to, there'd be too many. Okay. So now that it's done the same thing again. So it's got game in there. Now, if I cancel that and then just go back to, click back into it, I've then got this line at the bottom, which gives you a GIF, if you want to add a GIF to it, if you want to add a location, whereabouts you are, and yeah, if you want to do a poll, you can ask two choices and then have a poll length. So if you want to put it out to students, that's another thing you could do. So if we come out of that, cancel that one. There we go. Right, if we click on the image, the very first one, you can have a photo. So we could choose a photo or we could choose live. It's better to have your photos already in here, so you can choose something out here. So if you choose a picture, it'll let you choose up to 4. So you can choose 4 pictures. And they go in the order that you click them there. So if we add those in, you've got the 4 in the same order that I clicked them. So it would go first, second, third, fourth. 3 works quite well. If you take one out, when it actually puts them in, it puts them in quite well if you've got 3. So if I cancel that, save draft, and then go back to it. So when we go to here, we can click on drafts, click on that. It doesn't actually show you what it's going to look like, but it will look good because you get one large picture and the 2. So this will be the large one, the one on the left, and then you get the 2 on the right hand side. You can go in and edit these. You can make changes. I don't tend to edit these, but you could crop them down, or you could do other editing. So if we cancel that, go back to it, and then tweet it. I'm not going to tweet this because it's nonsense there. So if I cancel that and delete it, that's the basics of Twitter. The things that you've got to do, if you look at this one here, you've got their handle. So the @ is really a handle, and that will go straight to their site. So if you click on that, it goes to the Education Committee. So if you put them in there, if you put that in there, the other thing you can do is, when you've got this, is actually select it and take that, and then take out the pieces you want. I find that useful. So you've got the handles, if they're the ones you want, copy that and put that into notes, and then you can use it. So if we put that in there, you can then edit this down, take the bits out you want. So we don't want that, but we want the hashtags or the handles. So we got that, and we got that one, so you could use that. If I go back to Twitter, what else have we got there? So you can see they've linked those together. So those are all linked. So if we get FE week, those are continuing that story. So that way you can get more words on there. It's a good idea not to have too many hashtags, these hashtags here, because it doesn't look good. A few of those handles are good if you want people to pick this up. That way, if you put their handle in it, they see it goes directly into their notification. So when the notification comes on, it'll come in here because it's got their handle on it. So this has got media and gaming. So if it's got media and gaming, it will pick it up as part of this. What else is there? So if we go to feed, let's see what you have to do, because we're just getting these from FE at the moment. It's just continuing that thread. So those are all from that same thread. So you have to use that arrow to go back, and you can go back again, or you could just click on the home. So home will be what's coming in. And if you see something good that's coming in, you can either click on this film house and go to theirs, or you could go to the actual story, Edinburgh Film Fest, and then you could get the Edinburgh. And it's good if you actually find things you want to follow and then follow them. So if we're following that already, but if we weren't and we clicked on it, you could follow it. You could send them a message, or you could have a notification when they have tweets, or tweets with live video. So it's a really good way of keeping up with what's going on. And again, down here you've got more. So in those icons you've got the BBC. You could choose some of these to follow. So BFI Film Academy, let's have a look at that. I'm not sure who's that's only a small one, but if you wanted to follow it, it's there, and it tells you some of the people who are following it to others. So you can see the people that follow that. It's followed by the BFI there. So we're following all of those, so that's why you'd see stories from those. But you might not notice it, so it's a good idea when you go to their site, you could actually then see what they have actually been talking about. And if you're interested in it, retweet it, or you could like it. So the heart is a like, or retweet, or you could send it to somebody. So there's several things you could do, but really the most useful are liking things and retweeting it. And that way, if you retweet it, it'll end up on your homepage. So things that have been retweeted, like if we come down here, these are all the ones we've tweeted, but underneath you've got that from E3, Guardian Film. The Guardian Film one for Stanley Kubrick, what I've done on that, it's just Guardian. If you go to the Guardian, they had featured it, and you can retweet that. You can also get a story. So if you go to the actual story, what you can do is on the top here, where you've got the compass, that will take it into the browser, so you can put it into Safari. So you get the story then to read in Safari, which is good. And from there you can copy that. So if you copy that URL and put that into notes, you've got the address. Now you can use that, so you could use that for a tweet. So when you go to your Twitter, you have to get back out of this. You can go back on the arrows, or you can just click home. So if we went to here, we put in a story. If we put that in, it will link to it, so we could say something about it. And then when people click on it, it will take them to that news article without actually it being from the Guardian. It's from you, but you're referring to that. So you just have to click at the beginning of there and put your copy here. See, it disappears anytime I'm putting a letter on there, because it's now no longer a URL. It's not going to directly go there. But if you finish that off and then press return, you could then have something you want to say, and then refer to the Guardian one underneath, and then again put in if there are people you want to refer it to. So if you wanted to awarding body, things that you've used recently or you use a lot will come up in the list. But otherwise, you need to know their address, and that's when it's really useful that you can go back to Twitter and you can say, oh yeah, I saved that one. Just make sure you get the @ or type the @ on there, and then go back to it. And then I'd already put the @ in there, but I'll delete that, put that in there, and it'll show you where it's going to go. And that's it really. I think the main thing is to get things ready and know the handles of the people you need to feature in there. So if it's a client job, make sure you've got it spelt right. That's why it's good to have it in notes, because if you just put something wrong in there, it's not going to go there, it's not going to find it, it'll find something else. There is another one with that handle. And some things are set up and they look like they're clients, or they look like they're big organisations, but they're just an individual who's taken that name. So you'd be really careful of that. Sometimes it happens. There was one tweeted by the college which was Pearson's, but it was only an individual taking the title Pearson's. It wasn't the actual company. So if I cancel that, again, we could save that. And it's good to save it if you want to tweet it later on, maybe when a client comes in, or the next day, or on a visit or something. And then it's really easy to do because you've got it ready. The main thing is spelling mistakes. If you spell something wrong, or if you put in a wrong hashtag, then it won't go there, it won't work. So looking down here, we got that match of the day X. So right at the top, that's the hashtag. So anything under that match of the day X will come up in that list, and you can look at the latest, what's the latest, and obviously the main match of the day site is that one, the BBC. So I think it's worth taking your time, having a look around here, and seeing what things are interesting. You know, if you find somebody like this games designer, he does have some interesting stuff. If you find things nice, that's a good one for design. So they have a lot of creative work on here. It's good because you can actually then go to the links. It will either tell you the story or play the video. So it's a really good source of information and ways of learning about what's going on and keeping the students informed. So if there's exhibitions or shows, or the long way down here, but there will be things from studios. Before the work, there was quite a number of Dreams Trial, and there's things for Mario, celebrating games, or Filmhouse. There's one from Filmhouse, and let's see if we've got any more there. No, all these are students, so you've got some from Harlow College. Free trial, things like that. The free trial, they're good to put on there because the students, if they get used to knowing that we're putting on trials and offers and exhibitions and competitions, then they will start looking at. Like for instance, that one. There's one. That's from the. That's a story on the BBC, and it's if you click on that, it'll take you to the actual National Careers Week. It tells you about it. So that's quite a good example, because you've got creative media and creative and media. I've done that separate so that each one you can go and find out what's on that particular link. So creative media, you've got Cambridge Regional College. So those hashtags are good as ways of getting you listed, particularly if you've got a unique one. So going back 2 hours, if we go to the beginning, we've got media and game design. And media and game design is just us, because I looked and saw no one else had used that one. I didn't notice any. So that will mean that all of ours are in a string. So anything that's been tweeted with that. And that's a really important thing to do, really try and link them in certain areas. For instance, like Harlow College, then you'll get the latest from Harlow College. There we got some in there, fashion. So that's good. So if people look for Harlow College, it brings up our stories. And also extended by game design. Game design, if someone searches for game design, there's going to be thousands for games design, but we might find that some of ours do actually, if they get a lot of hits, they do appear in here. and that's it really. That's Twitter.